Okay, well, joining us now live is Al Tompkins, an award-winning journalist who's worked in the news business for decades. He wrote for Poynter Institute and authored a textbook about multimedia storytelling. He also helped write the National Code of Ethics for both the National Press Photographers Association and the Radio and Television Digital News Association. He's known for teaching journalists all across the world. Mr. Tompkins, thanks for coming on the show.
Hi, Blair. I would say, could I just speak to a couple of things I've just heard, just to sort of
Sure, go for it.
slow it down. The FCC really, the Federal Communications Commission, really doesn't enforce ethics. They enforce the law. There was a time when we had something called the equal time rule and the fairness doctrine, where we'd have to give equal time to everybody. But anybody that ever listened to talk radio remembers when that went away, which allows over-the-air content like, radio stations to say whatever they want to say. Basically, it's they have to serve the public interest. But the FCC doesn't enforce ethics. That's first. The second idea is that for someone to be an influencer is a gun for hire, I think is a bit of an overstatement. An influencer can be a propagandist, they can be an opinion writer, they can be all sorts of things, but none of that is necessarily a gun for hire. It could be somebody who just passionately feels about something. So it doesn't make them bad people. It's just that we as consumers have to be better consumers and ask questions. Does this seem like it's an even-handed treatment of this?
So what, from your perspective, is the difference between, say, a social media influencer reporting on these protests and a journalist who works for a media outlet?
It's a good question that people ask a lot, and that is, what is a journalist? And to me, it's a fairly straightforward answer. A journalist to me is someone who collects and disseminates information with equal veracity, with equal force, equal enthusiasm, no matter what it finds. So I would ask these people who met with the president the other day, have they ever said anything critical of Donald Trump? Do they ever report anything critical of him? And the answer is no. No, they don't. And so for me, those people aren't journalists. Those people are propagandists. And I don't use that word in a mean way. I mean, propagandists can be fact tellers, they're just one sided. So I think commercials are mostly propaganda. It doesn't make them bad, it just makes them one sided. So if it's a person who is willing to tell the truth, no matter what they find, no matter what we personally might think of it, then that person might be a journalist. However, we as journalists, Blair, you and me both, we get criticized for not being open to the truth, to only giving one side or another. And I think we have to plead some guilty to that we haven't always been as aware of passionate feelings on one side or another as we might have been. But I reject the idea that we are opinion writers, that even what you've done today, just in this segment, has tried to give voice. I'll say one other thing. One way that people think about the truth, Blair, is in visuals. And even in this segment, you showed video, for example, of protesters and police and a standoff and military and all that stuff. And you showed that, and I think I'm right, and I could be wrong, and correct me if I am. I don't remember seeing a date stamp on that video. I don't remember seeing the words like file video or last Thursday or a week from Friday. Even the graphic that you have, the big story graphic that you had behind you, has a picture of a standoff. And to me, those images send the repeated signal that this is going on every day. This is what our town looks like. And it's not. By your own visuals, you show that it's a fairly small gathering outside the ICE facility. So it's the repeated use of those images without constantly reminding us that this isn't today. This was real. It was one day, but it's not now. And we have to take some responsibility for that. We are transmitting that image as though it's recurring, as though it's happening right now.
I do believe we had the date in the top right corner, but we could have said that verbally.
Then I plead
agree
guilty.
with you. So we talked about, rules and ethics that journalists have to abide by that independent content creators aren't necessarily bound to. Can you help explain how you teach ethics to current journalists and aspiring students?
Sure. Um, well, first of all, the ethics tell us what we should do, and the law tells us what we can do, and sometimes they're not the same thing. So basically, the Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics contains four tenets. The first is uh, uh, is is to be fair, to be accurate. So seek truth and tell it as fully as possible is the first tenet. Number two is act independently, independent of your own biases, independent of what be good for you, independent of your advertisers or of your own political leanings. Act independently. It's not about you. It's about the journalism, about the story. Third is be accountable and be accessible. Not something that we as journalists are known for doing really well. Can someone get a hold of us and hold us accountable and be accessible? And I think that that the idea is maybe we should be more accessible to people, to be able to call us into question, to have corrections that are as prominent as our mistakes, for example. How do we go about correcting? Newspapers, for example, sometimes have corrections at the end of a story or something like that. Online, you do. We have corrections, but sometimes those corrections aren't nearly as prominent as the mistake, and that's an ethics issue. We tell people all the time in the classes that I teach is look, report the news without fear or favor, right? Without fear or favor. I can't fear what you're going to do or what you're not going to do. You're not going to give me access. You're going to be mean. You're going to, bar me from a news conference or whatever. I can't worry about that. I've got to tell the story as I find it, and it's going to be what it's going to be. And I can't fear that the people who normally like me aren't going to like me because I say something favorable about some candidate or some governor or mayor or president that you don't like. Sorry, that's the way it goes. They did something really useful and worthwhile, and they should get the credit for it. And that's the way it goes. You don't like it, then tough. It might be your day someday, but it's not today. So to me, it's all about fairness. We sometimes say our job is not to be biased, but that's not possible. I'm biased, and so are you, by virtue of who I am and where I grew up, how old I am, and what my education is, and uh, all of those things, your religious beliefs, your gender, all of those things influence. So we can't pretend to be unbiased, but we can strive to be fair.
Okay, Mr. Tompkins, thank you so much for your time tonight and your insight.
I think it's a useful conversation that you're having here. I hope you keep doing it.
Thank you so much.